Recognizing the member for Kelowna Mission.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Well, once upon a time, I was a young adult. But now, and for the last 24 years, I've been a mother. Good mothers are protectors, nurturers, teachers, listeners. We are natural empaths for our children. We look out for their needs and hear them. And right now, we have an entire generation struggling. During COVID, our youth were disproportionately impacted by the challenges of the pandemic. Yes, they still worked the frontline jobs in retail, grocery stores, salons, gyms, and restaurants, but then they were told to go home, not be with friends. Many feared bringing COVID back to their families or spreading it to our most vulnerable, so they were forced to separate themselves from their support networks, their friends, families, and loved ones. They missed their graduations, their first dances, their parties, and their dates. They've had disruptions and distortions to their social lives. They've lost friends. Their schooling has gone online in some form of Zoomiversity, missing out on the pseudo-social aspects of their first years and what should have been networking, friendships, and that lively courtyard debate. But furthermore, this government has failed them. Under this administration, a disproportionate amount of the job losses, evictions, and the brunt of the affordability crisis were all faced by our youngest working generation. They were told if they didn't screw it up for the rest of society, that we would emerge stronger and better. But we didn't. The housing market is still so out of reach that 74% of British Columbians that don't currently own a home believe that they never will. UBC professor Paul Kershaw says that when the baby boomers entered young adulthood in the 1970s, it would have taken them 5 years of full-time work to save up for a 20% down payment on a home. The National Bank report estimates now that same home would take 36 years to save for a down payment. Furthermore, the cost of living has skyrocketed, and our young don't see their jobs keeping pace. Recently, my kids started texting me these memes about the cost of living. One was an itty-bitty toy grocery cart that said, "This is what $200 buys today." They've developed this sense of humor because of their lived reality, because they live paycheck to paycheck and they don't see themselves getting ahead. Young women today have been particularly hard hit and don't see a way through. They don't see themselves in the job market and still able to have children. Their birth control costs upwards of $30 a month. And if they have any fertility problems, it could be upwards of $100,000. And then there's childcare. Childcare is neither affordable nor accessible because the promise of universal $10 a day daycare is little more than a pipe dream. And the government has only met a fraction of the promised daycare spaces. And because of this, young couples are thinking of opting out of having children and thinking twice and 3 times before raising families out of a fear that the supports they need won't be there for them. And then there are the rising mental health challenges among our youth. Research by BC Children's Hospital shows 2/3 of children in BC reported having mood swings, anxiety, or suicidal thoughts during the pandemic, up from just 1/3 before the arrival of COVID-19. Additionally, 53% of British Columbians over the age of 15 had somewhat or much worse mental health during the pandemic. Did we help them? No. We failed them. And what are they asking for? What are our young adults begging for today? Opportunity, a chance to get ahead, a chance to find their path, and the opportunity to make their way. But government has gotten so in the way that our young people no longer believe that we have answers for them or could even help. We have a generation of hopelessness. If my kids watch this, I want them to see their mom standing up for them and for all youth, for the truth of what their generation is going through, and to make sure that if we really want to make life better for them now and into the future, it must be done so with so much more than just words. Talk is cheap, action is everything, And this young adult generation is done with cheap government talk. Thank you.
Thank you, member.